Welcome back. Today, we're doing something really special. We're venturing into the very architecture of reality itself. I'm talking about the moments before the first moment. We are going to decode a single, incredibly powerful verse from Genesis, but we're going to do it through the eyes of one of the most profound mystical texts ever, the Zohar. So let's dive right in.
Now the earth was unformed and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters. Most of us read this and we picture a physical, pre-created world. Mud, water, darkness. But the Zohar sees something way, way deeper. It sees a cosmic blueprint. It says that inside these few Hebrew words, Tohu, Bohu, Choshech, and Ruach, lies the entire logical sequence of creation, the very operating system of all existence.
So, you gotta ask, right? What do these words truly mean? If this isn't about some primordial swamp, then what's it about? What was the actual texture, the feel of reality in its infancy? And look, this isn't just some dusty academic question. This is an investigation into the fundamental forces that are still shaping our universe and, as we're about to see, our own lives and our own creative potential.
All right, to get our heads around this, we've structured our journey into 6 parts. We're going to start by kind of reframing how we look at all this. Then we're going to do a real deep dive into each of those 4 primordial states, one by one. And finally, we'll pull it all back together and see how these forces combine to create the cosmos as we know it.
Okay, first things first, it's absolutely crucial to understand how the Zohar reads this verse from Genesis. For the Zohar, this isn't ancient history. It's not a description of a static scene that happened billions of years ago. No, it's revealing a dynamic, living, breathing process, a sequence of 4 logical states, 4 phases of cosmic engineering that had to unfold before any stable reality could even exist.
So here is the key shift in thinking. Tohu, Bohu, Choshech, and Ruach are not nouns just describing things. They're verbs. They are cosmic engines. They're active principles, fundamental forces that are constantly at play, bringing reality into being in every single moment. So let's jump in and explore the first of these incredible engines.
I want you to just imagine for a second. A vast, primordial expanse. There are no shapes, no boundaries, there's no up or down. It's just a drifting, undefined, luminous haze. That is Tohu. It is a state of pure, raw, infinite potential. Everything that could ever possibly be is right there, but nothing has taken any form yet.
Now see that Hebrew word kli? It means vessel, and this is a central, massive concept in Kabbalah. The idea is that energy, or what the mystics call light, is infinite. But for it to be expressed, for it to become something tangible, it needs a container, a vessel, a structure to hold it and give it definition. Tohu is the state of that infinite light before there's any vessel. It's just pure energy, pure potential, with absolutely no form to contain it.
For all of you with a tech brain, think of Tohu like this. It's a hard drive that's filled with an infinite amount of raw, unstructured data. Every single piece of information in the universe is on there, but there's no operating system. There's no file structure, no folders, nothing. It's just a chaotic stream of ones and zeros. The potential is literally limitless, but it's completely inaccessible. It's unusable.
And for our gamers, imagine you're booting up the ultimate cosmic video game. Tohu is like the loading screen, but it's way more than that. It's what we could call the fog of creation. All the game's assets, all the characters, the levels, they all exist in the code, but nothing has been rendered on screen yet. You're just sitting in a formless, gray fog of infinite possibility.
Okay, let's go a layer deeper, into the mechanics. The Zohar maps each of these states to really specific spiritual principles. Tohu is associated with the Sephirah of Chokhmah, or wisdom. And this makes perfect sense, right? Chokhmah is that primordial flash of inspiration, that initial seed of an idea before it has any structure. Its color is described as a green fire, which just suggests this raw, untamed primal energy. And the divine name that governs this whole state is Shaddai, which implies the power to set limits, kind of hinting at what has to happen next to get this infinite potential under control.
So if Tohu is this infinite, untamed energy, you've got a big problem, and it needs a solution. And so out of that green, formless haze, something new starts to happen. We start to see the first glimmers of form. The Zohar describes this almost like a movie. You see stones or the foundations of palaces just flickering in and out of existence. This is Bohu.
And Bohu is the answer to Tohu's big problem. If Tohu's pure infinite energy, Bohu is the creation of the first kelim, those first vessels to contain it. And that image, stones sunk in the abyss, wow, it's just so powerful. It's like you're laying a foundation in this vast, formless depth. These are the primordial blueprints, the first logical categories that are starting to give shape to reality.
Back to our cosmic computer. Bohu is that moment when we finally impose a structure on all that raw data. The chaotic stream of ones and zeros from Tohu is now being sorted into data schemas, into tables, into classes. It's like you're writing the initial code that defines what things are and what their properties will be. It's not the final program yet, not by a long shot, but the fundamental architecture is being laid down.
And in our video game, this is where it gets exciting. The world is starting to render. That fog of creation begins to clear up, and you can see the basic geometry of the level taking shape. The vague outlines of mountains and rivers and buildings start flickering into view. The potential is actually starting to become a place.
Now the crucial shift here is from the Sephira of Chokhmah to Bina. This is so important. If Chokhmah, Tohu, is the seed of an idea, Bina, or understanding, is like the cosmic womb that takes that seed and develops it into a detailed structure. Bina is the great processor. Its color is white, suggesting a purity of form, and its element is water, right? The substance that perfectly takes the shape of its container. The divine name here is Tsavaot, often translated as hosts, which totally hints at the legions of forms and structures that are now being created.
All right, we have raw energy, we have basic structures, but for a real world to exist, things need to be distinct from each other. You need boundaries, you need separation. And that's where Choshech, or darkness, comes in. But this is not the darkness you're thinking of. Cinematically, I want you to imagine a dense, powerful, pulsing black fire. It doesn't destroy anything, it defines everything. It creates space by concealing the infinite light.
We have to totally rewire how we think about darkness. We usually think of it as a passive thing, just the absence of light. But in Zoharic thought, primordial Choshech is an active, powerful force. The Zohar literally calls it a black fire. It is the force of Din, which means judgment or limitation, that says you end here and you begin there. Think about it. Without this force of concealment, everything would just dissolve back into the undifferentiated light of Tohu. Darkness is what makes existence possible because it creates edges.
And this connects perfectly to its underlying mechanics. Choshech is linked to the Sephira of Gavura, strength, or more accurately, judgment and limitation. Its colors are black and red, which are the colors of severity and fire. And the divine name that governs this whole state is Elohim. This is critically important. Elohim is the name of God that's associated with strict justice and the laws of nature. It's the force that creates the laws of physics, the force that defines and separates and judges.
Okay, so what do we have? We have potential, we have structure, and we have definition. But the whole system is static. It's like a perfectly designed machine that's not turned on. It's lifeless. The final stage is Ruach, which means spirit or wind. The cinematic vision for this is a subtle, luminous current that's hovering and moving over everything. It's a whispering breath, a guiding intelligence that flows through all the forms, linking everything together and bringing the entire cosmos to life.
So Ruach is the active principle that orchestrates the other three. The Zohar says it's like a call, a voice, or a sound that hovers over the forms of Bohu, and it infuses them with purpose and direction. It's the master control signal. It's the operating system that takes all those defined structures and makes them interact, turning the static blueprint into a dynamic, evolving universe.
And check this out. The divine name totally shifts here. We move from Elohim, the name of strict justice, to Yah-Ehi-Vihei, that unpronounceable four-letter name that's associated with mercy, compassion, and harmony. Ruach is aligned with the Sephira of Tiferet, beauty or harmony, and it makes so much sense because Tiferet sits right in the center of the Kabbalistic tree, and its whole job is to perfectly balance the expansive energy on one side and the constricting energy on the other. It's the force that harmonizes all the others, creating a beautiful, living, breathing cosmos.
All right, let's bring it all home. Let's synthesize these four forces into a single integrated system. And probably the most important thing to take away from all this is that Tohu, Bohu, Choshech, and Ruach are not a linear history of one-time events that are over. No, they are a constantly recurring process. Every moment of existence, every new creation, every single thought you have actually follows the same logical progression from chaos to cosmos.
This timeline just sums up the flow perfectly. First, you get the raw idea, that infinite potential of Tohu. Second, you develop that idea into a coherent structure, that's Bohu. Third, you set boundaries and limitations to make it a distinct, real thing, that's Choshech. And finally, you infuse it with life and purpose and harmony that animates the whole system, Ruach. This is the four-stroke engine of creation.
And this final table just brings the entire system together at a glance. It's so cool. You can see the progression right down the rows, from raw potential all the way to harmonious animation. And you can see how the mystical concepts, the sephirots, the divine names, map perfectly onto our modern analogies, right? The cosmic engineering and the video game design. From raw data in the fog of creation, to structured geometry, to the defining fire of a limited world, and it's all brought to life by the guiding wind of the master control signal.
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.
And so we want to leave you with this one final thought to ponder. Think about your own life, your creative processes, your work, your relationships. Which of these four primordial forces is most active for you right now? Are you in a state of Tohu, just brainstorming with infinite potential? Or are you in Bohu, trying to give some real structure to your ideas? Maybe you're in a Choshech phase, where you're setting necessary boundaries. Or are you in a state of Ruach, harmonizing all the different parts of your life into a beautiful flowing whole? The cosmos within is just a mirror of the cosmos without.